Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. I hope you've had a nice weekend. Going to end the weekend with a review of Jeremiah Nakathila's victory over Miguel Berchelt. Both these guys moving up from super featherweight to lightweight, and Berchelt, being a long reigning WBC super featherweight champion, was the favourite against a Namibian fighter who last year lost to Shakur Stevenson, a unanimous decision, and was considered to be a very good fighter. Came in with 22 wins, 18 by stoppage or knockout, and only 2 defeats on points. But Berchelt, despite the fact he suffered that, highlight reel knockout to Oscar Valdez a year ago, last year, early, I think it was February 2021, he was considered the favourite. And, hindsight's a wonderful thing. You sort of wonder, well, why was he? Weren't there huge question marks over him after that Valdez knockout? He's been in a lot of wars. He's got an enormous punch. I mean, he came in with 38 wins, 34 KOs, but both his losses had been by stoppage. So Nakathila, big puncher, you'd think, okay, who's going to adapt better at lightweight? And without question, it turned out to be Nakathila, because although he's only 2 years older than Berchelt, he's 32 and Berchelt is 30, he looked like he was 10 years younger. Berchelt looked like an old, worn out man in there. He looked like a fighter who had come to the end of the road, to be honest with you. Berchelt looked gun shy for the first 3 rounds, maybe. Very little balance. Every time he was hit, he shook. It wasn't that his punch resistance looked sloppy or looked shoddy or shot, because he was taking full-blooded punches from Nakathila, who has got a very high KO ratio. But when he was hit, Berchelt, even if it was only on the gloves, his legs would shake. And again, he took some really flush punches. I mean, a lot of them. In the 3rd round, he suffered a knockdown, but that was only because he stepped into a jab, and suddenly he was knocked onto the seat of his pants. But Nakathila, when he was landing flush, Berchelt was shaking his legs. His footwork was absolutely awful. His legs just seemed to not really. It wasn't that they were rubbery or like spaghetti legs. It was just that he couldn't get them into the position where he was punching. He couldn't move them forward quickly enough or in a coordinated way to where he was in punching range. And that was kryptonite against Nakathila, who loves to fight at long range. He loves that. He loves to be on the. He fires an awful lot of long punches, not just the jabs. He doesn't need the guy to be mid-range for him to suddenly decide, I'm going to, fire a jab, I'm going to fire a combination. No. You can be right on the end of the range, right on the periphery of it. And Nakathila seems to enjoy that. He loves those long punches. He's got long arms for a guy of his height, but he really knows how to use that physical attribute. And he was just toying with Berchelt. Berchelt was being, sort of ragdolled without the wrestling, you know what I mean? It's just the sheer punches were shaking him, wobbling him. As I said before, his footwork, he couldn't get his feet into position to punch. When he was up close, he was landing the occasional left hook. But Nakathila didn't even flinch. He wasn't that bothered at all. I mean, I think it was the 4th round, maybe, 3rd or 4th round, 5th round, when Berchelt did land a couple of hooks that momentarily gave Nakathila something to think about and maybe made him a little bit cautious. But within seconds, normal service had been resumed, and Nakathila was just stringing together these, flowing, very, very long punches, all sorts of combinations. Obviously the jab, left hook, right cross, combinations that were, I'd say 2 out of the 3 punches were landing pretty much flush on Berchelt. Berchelt soaking up the power, but his legs just looked old, very, very old and worn. And after 6 rounds of this, the referee went over and waved the fight off. And even though it's listed as a retirement, I was under the impression when I watched it that it was the referee stopped the fight. But I think it's listed as a retirement after 6 rounds. To be honest, this should be the end of Berchelt. He's had a long, hard career. He's had, what is it now? Let me think now, 41 fights now. He's only lost 3. He was a terrific champ at super featherweight. He's only 30, but it's a very old 30. And I didn't like what I was watching there. I don't like to see a fighter fight for too long, especially a guy who's got that kill or be killed, you hit me and I'll hit you attitude. Doesn't make for a long career. He's a warrior. Will he quit? He didn't give the impression after the fight that he would. He was talking about warriors come back, and the true test is when you're beaten and you come back. Yes, but you've got to have something to work with. And I think Berchelt's toolbox is pretty much empty now. Especially that footwork was terrible. Terrible, absolutely terrible. Still got the power. If you can't get into range, if you can't get into position, if your floorboards aren't right and your foundation's not there, power, you're going to be able to use the power. So probably the end of the road for Berchelt in world terms. Jeremiah Nakatila definitely has got something left, a lot left at 32. He's a young 32, whereas Berchelt is a very ancient 30, or looks it. But Nakatila, I think, will probably make a run at a title, deserves a title shot. Lost wide to Shakur Stevenson, but his only other defeat was back in 2016 to Evgeny Chuprikov, and that was a majority decision. So he's had a good career. He's having a good career. It's not over yet. And this is an impressive performance by him. Even if Berchelt had something left, it's not a foregone conclusion that he'd have won. Jeremiah Nakatila, I think, is an underrated fighter. Very, very good at long range. Very good at long range. Lots of long punches. Really impressed with him. And good footwork too. As good as Berchelt's was bad. So that was that fight. Did you see it? If so, leave your comments. Do you think Berchelt's finished? I personally do. What's next for Nakatila? A title shot at lightweight. And he might just win it as well. Good fighter. So leave your comments below. If you're new to the channel, you can subscribe. That'd be fantastic. Hit the like button. Only takes a second. Hit the subscribe button. Only takes another second. You can give me 2 seconds out of your life. Can't you? Go on. Of course you can. Much love to all of you. Weekend ahead. Weekend's done. Week's ahead. I hope you enjoy it. Hope you get on well. And I will speak to you again soon sometime. Bye for now.